So let's say, for the benefit of the doubt, you have a time machine. You can go back in time and you go to yourself as you're writing your first script. There you are. And now you have an opportunity to give advice. And this is also good for the viewers, because viewers that are working on their first script, they want to take the same sort of path that you've taken.
I think my main advice right now would be not to write the first idea you come up with, but to write the best idea you come up with, which might mean you come up with 100 ideas and select the best.
Nice.
Because what happened for me at least, is I started out writing really kind of typical genre action and thriller material that wasn't interesting enough. The ideas weren't interesting enough. And the dialogue could be good, and the actions, could be good.
The execution.
Yeah, but the idea itself was, yeah, we heard that before. So it took me a long time, actually, to figure that out, because even I sold a script that got me here, and I'll tell you that story. I was driving my forklift, working my terrible job, and there was an actress in my hometown that was moving to Hollywood, and I gave her a script and said, there's a role in here that's perfect for you. And it actually had nothing to do with that script. It had more to do with the actress, but that's another story. But what happened is she moved to LA, and she had the script, and she got cast in some low-budget, stupid movie, gave a copy of the script to somebody on the crew.
On the crew?
On the crew. That person read the script and said, this is so much better than this piece of crap we're making right now. They handed it to their best contact, who handed it to their best contact, who handed it to their best contact, who handed it to their best contact, and it's like 2 or 3 years later, I'm putting on my boots, getting ready to go to work, the phone rings, there's somebody on the phone who claims they're from Paramount Pictures, and they want to know if my script's available, and I'm sure it's a practical joke.
Right.
And so I say, who the hell is this really? And when they say, oh yeah, this is whatever the Daniel from whatever the company was, we got to deal with Paramount, I said, fine, thanks, call me some other time, I'm getting ready to go to work, and hung up on him.
God.
Because I was positive it was a practical joke. I got this friend Van Tassel, and he and I play practical jokes on each other all the time. And I just done one on him. So I thought, this is the payback joke. And when the guy called me, I asked him what the phone number was, and he gave me a phone number that was 310? Whatever it was. It was Los Angeles. And I'm like, oh no, it was 213 at the time. No, Los Angeles. So Van Tassel went to a lot of work to play this practical joke. I mean, he even got the phone number, the area code right. But I called it back figuring that I was, I would get like a phone booth or something.
Tony's
something like that. And instead, I get the company, and I'm like, oh, I think I've been disconnected. Can you give me Daniel? And they wanted to buy the script. But the thing about that script was, that script did not have a high concept idea at all. It was a good, solid genre picture, and they were actually looking for a good, solid genre picture in that. It was a thriller script. So that worked for them, and then I thought, well, that's cool. Now I'm in, I made enough money. I moved to Hollywood, and started my real screenwriting career. But I kept writing scripts that were typical genre films instead of the exceptional genre films. So instead of writing The Matrix, I was writing some, cop chases serial killer plot 53B. And it took me a while to realize that when I'd go on meetings and people would say, what's your script about? And I'd pitch them the script, and it would be, they'd go, yeah, okay, next. And it's like, okay, that was the idea. Don't you realize it's got great characters, it's got great scene? And they're like, we don't have time to do that. What's the idea? So then I started to look at what cool ideas I could come up with, and that changed my career right there.
Wow.
And so, now basically I sit down and I try to come up with the very best idea, and I spend more time on the idea before I go to script. And I think that's really good advice for everybody, is sit down, find the idea that when you tell it to your friends, they go, oh my God, that's amazing. When does that movie open? And because that's right now one of the things I do is I pitch the guys I used to work with at the warehouse all the time.
Really?
I'll call them up and say, hey man, I saw this test screening of this movie, and here's what it's about. And I'll pitch one of my story ideas. And if they say, great, who's in it? When does it open? Then I know I have something. If they say, yeah, I'll catch that on DVD, I go, okay, I'm not writing that one. So it's kind of the audience, what the audience thinks, and those guys pay to see movies. So.
Right, right. And they're like a litmus test.
Yeah.
100 ideas. I like the 100 ideas thing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
You may find a good one after maybe 10 or 15, but it's the more ideas you can come up with.
Right.
And if you set your goal just to come up with ideas every day, you can look through, I have an idea book, and I can go through the book and go, here's a great one, here's a great one. I'm doing one later this year, a spec that is about, it's called Dreamwalkers, and it's about spies sent into dreams.
Cool.
And the thing is that the dream world is a real world, just like our world. So when we basically are transported into this world, and there's people that live in that world that exist only in that world. And they have an agenda, and they're trying to influence our world so that they can take over.
Ooh.
And so it's like a Cold War spy movie, but it's about dreams. And I've basically gone through all the common dreams that people have. So when an audience watches the movie, they go, I've had that dream. And because everybody has.
That's right.
And yet this thing started out with me going, I love Cold War spy movies, but where they have to like go past Checkpoint Charlie with the bad papers and hope they don't get caught. And
Let
once
me
they're
see
there,
your papers.
yeah, and then once they're there, it's always suspense because at any minute somebody could find out they don't belong. And I thought the problem is there's no Cold War. So what would be the most interesting Cold War type scenario? And I thought, what if there's a Cold War between the sleeping world and the waking world? And the Checkpoint Charlie is that those moments where we're just about to fall asleep, and once we get into that world,
the twilight.
Yeah,
the twilight.
Once we get into that world, then they could discover that we don't belong there,
Right.
and that we're there for some other reason. I thought that'd be a cool way to take. Well, it's kind of the mundane, normal. I would have written the Cold War spy script in the past, but now I'm doing this different thing that people are gonna. Everybody I tell the idea to goes, "That's cool,"
Yeah,
and the more I talk about the dream stuff, because I've really gone through, done the research on dreams. I have an ex-girlfriend that was worked at Stanford Lucid Dreaming. Yeah,
Stephen LeBurge.
Yeah,
Stephen LeBurge.
She worked for him, and so she gave me all kinds of cool background information and gave me the reality, which I'm not using any of, but at least gave me some stuff to play with.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's a great idea. I love lucid dreaming and all of that kind of stuff, but I never thought that, there was Dreamscape.
You're right.
That was good, but I never thought of, creating a universe with rules and laws and a society. Yeah. It's a really great idea.
And the idea is that it does have rules, and the rules are the dream rules, not our rules. So one of the things that has to happen is this guy has to learn the dream rules. So it's got like a ghost element too. He has to learn how to be a ghost, and
That's right.
In this case he has to learn how to be a dream.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I like that. That's really good.